What's up, YouTube? It's Eric, a Lions fan. Thanks for clicking on this video. Sorry about the lighting here, guys. Another card video of that. But I kind of want to talk about Michigan and Michigan State coming into the third week of the season here. Now, as you guys know, I kind of been away, kind of doing my thing here and whatnot. But I kind of wanted to catch up here, especially on Michigan. Not so much on Michigan State because, I'll be honest, I haven't watched any Michigan State football. I've watched a little bit of the Middle Tennessee State game and a little bit of the Army game. And kind of what I've gotten out of those two things is, number one, who's calling the plays? Is it Gaddis or is it Harbaugh? And number two, how well is this offense going to kind of be acquainted and get used to this new style of offense that they're running? Now, we all know about the shift in the offensive philosophy for Michigan, with Gaddis coming in and kind of wanting to not necessarily say shake things up at Michigan, but for lack of a better word, he kind of wants to make Michigan kind of more of a passing style offense than a kind of a traditional kind of run first type of offense. At least that's what I kind of think on here. Maybe you guys may have a differing opinion on that, but for me, as being a Michigan fan, I think that's what the style that they're kind of going to. A little bit kind of like how Alabama kind of runs their offense. That kind of style of offense. You may even think of possibly Georgia and Clemson of kind of doing that same style of offense. Kind of beating, I kind of want to say if they ever meet up, kind of beating them at their own game. But first, Michigan has to get over the hump of getting the right personnel out there. Number two, running the offense correctly, because I still don't think that they're running the offense correctly. And when you have young kids out there being at the college level and playing at a Division I big school level like the Big Ten, or it doesn't necessarily matter if it's the Big Ten, if it's the Pac-12, if it's the SEC, the ACC, you know, any one of those, the Big 12, it doesn't necessarily matter what division or what conference that you're in. If you're playing Division I ball, you should be pretty good. And but again, you're kind of talking on 18, sometimes 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, some 22 if they're a 5-year kid and they kind of went in was a late, when they go into school late. But kind of, anyway, I don't want to kind of preach on that. My big thing is pretty much who's running the offense. And the kind of reason I say that is because the offense isn't kind of clicking just yet. Now, we all think that Gaddis is kind of putting his kind of foot down and saying, hey, I own the offense, I run the offense, but kind of seeing a little bit of the Michigan games, I kind of think a little bit differently about that. I think kind of Harbaugh is maybe kind of getting into his ears saying, hey, that's probably not the right call to make. You probably really want to run this. And actually, Jim Harbaugh being the head coach is kind of saying the final plays. And again, this is year 5 of him too now. It's year 5 of Harbaugh being the Michigan football coach. So how much longer are we going to be here with Jim Harbaugh and him being a coach and being, you know, not winning anything? Now, Steve Dace at the Michigan podcast, I kind of watch him I don't say I watch him religiously or anything like that when a new video comes up, but the last video I kind of watch, and he's perfectly right. When is Michigan actually, and I don't want to, and I'm paraphrasing here, and I don't want to take away from his podcast because he does a damn good podcast. He kind of said, you know, kind of, when is Michigan going to win anything? And the administration is kind of okay with 8, 9, 10 win seasons and maybe not necessarily going, you know, to a national championship or a big bowl game. And if that's kind of the attitude that the athletic department and the administrators and the board of directors or whoever's making the decisions here, if they're content with that, well, then I'm going to be a little bit upset as a fan to not kind of press the issue to be like, look, dude, it's time to start winning games. It's time to start winning against Ohio State, and it's time to kind of do really, you know, get us to the next level here, because that's what Michigan football is to me. And me growing up, I always thought they were kind of the team that was, at least growing up, and now that I kind of know a little bit more about it, Michigan is kind of this level of, should be to the level of the Alabamas, to the Ohio States, to the Clemsons, to the Georgias, and to the Oklahomas, kind of that kind of state. And Michigan has never really achieved that. I think, and again, I've kind of mentioned this before, I think that they're that second-tier team, where they're not the elite team, but they're a pretty good team. I think your elite teams are Ohio State still, even with Urban Meyer being gone. Obviously, Alabama, Clemson, You could throw Georgia in there. Notre Dame's kind of seemed to have upped their game a little bit. They were in the national championship playoff. Oklahoma's usually always in that national championship playoff. Those are the teams that I think they're the elite teams, those 5. And you could probably put a 6th team in there as the elite teams. And then you have your second-tier teams like Michigan. Goodness, who was another one here? Those kind of teams. I'm kind of losing for words here because I'm trying to go to work here too. But a Michigan, maybe. Goodness, I'm trying to think of another team that would kind of be on the Michigan level that isn't quite there, but is on the cusp, but can never really kind of get there. I think that's the place where Michigan's at, and I think and based on what Steve said in his Michigan podcast video, he said that the administrators are kind of right there at 8, 9, 10 win seasons are kind of what Michigan wants, and administrators are okay with that. Really, I'm not okay with that. I want to see Michigan at least get into the college football playoff. Now, I'm not looking for a national championship. I will fully admit, I'm not looking for that as a Michigan fan. Would it be a great thing? Yes, it would be a great thing to maybe kind of go back to that magical 97 season where that defense was just... I can't even explain how that defense was. And the offense was kind of clicking, too. You had kind of both offense and defenses kind of at that kind of that elite level. That's kind of where Michigan kind of needs to be with recruiting and all that. And really, Michigan hasn't really ever been there. Even with Jim Harbaugh, it really hasn't really ever been there. So, is Gaddis kind of wanting the plays to be... Is Gaddis running the plays, or is Jim Harbaugh kind of putting his 2 cents in, or is he the one doing the plays? And why are Michigan's administrators and the board of directors content with these 8, 9, 10 win seasons and a major bowl game and no national football playoff? I mean, really, that's kind of what it really all boils down to. And if they're content with that, if they are really content with that, then I don't know what to say. The Michigan fan base kind of needs to be a little bit up in arms on it, because if they're content with it, that's what we're going to see here within future events and future seasons kind of going on here. We're going to see 8, 9, 10 win seasons, and then you're really not going to get anything other than maybe a division championship here and there, and no conference championship. I mean, really, that kind of what it really all boils down to. I really should have talked about the football games, which I'll get to here in just... Actually, I'll go ahead and do that. The Middle Tennessee State game and the Army game, which Army is a good team. I'm not taking away anything from Army. But those 2 games, from the talent disparity from Michigan to Middle Tennessee State and Army, those should have been... I'm not going to say there should be blowout wins, like 70-point wins or anything like that. No, I'm thinking like 35, 42, 48-point scores for Michigan. And we kind of, with the exception of that one quarter, which Steve kind of said in his podcast, and I totally agree with him, there's something going on. When he kind of goes back to that Michigan, who's writing the plays kind of thing. I think the team is probably still trying to get a handle of this, of the offense yet. Going into Wisconsin, I still think that we're probably going to end up losing that game, because I'm not confident. I'm confident in the defense, that the defense can get it done, but I'm not confident in the offense to really kind of get that, within the 3rd week here of Michigan football, and I think they had a bye week here too. I'm not really confident that Michigan is going to pull out a win over in Wisconsin at Camp Randall. I'm not confident, and they really haven't won there since, I believe I heard 2001 is when I heard that Michigan football last won in Wisconsin. So that's not going well for them. But if we do end up with a loss, I'm really not going to be surprised. And probably, guys, be looking for probably maybe a 3rd place finish in the division, probably behind. And I hate to say this, but Michigan State hasn't played all that well either. You're probably looking at us, Michigan State, and Ohio State. With Ohio State, I think, going to win the division again this year because of the talent that Urban Meyer had in there, and he had Ryan Day being the first coach. But that is what it is. And Michigan State really hasn't looked all that well here either. I can't remember who they play coming up here on Saturday, or they may even have a bye week. Like I said, I've been out of the cusp here for a little bit because I haven't been doing really any videos and whatnot, and kind of not really paying much attention here. I'll fully admit that. But with Michigan State, I really don't know kind of what we're really even going to get with that team either. Are we going to, the offense kind of seems sluggish. Lewerke hasn't seemed to be spot on either. That, and the defense is going to have to, again, with that, the defense is going to have to pull that team through this season, because with the decimation of the offensive line last year and kind of moving people around, that team is kind of in a learning phase, I will fully admit. So even they don't have the offense down yet. And especially with that loss at Spartan Stadium against Arizona State, you know, and even with the fluke call that happened, which I heard about that. I didn't watch the game. I heard about a fluke call or something that didn't get called on a punt, where I guess a guy kind of jumped over somebody and it should have been called a penalty, but it wasn't. Where you can't just hurdle someone or use someone as a springboard to go for a block on a blocked punt. You know, that's kind of stuff that happens in football. But anyway, kind of going back to that, I'm not really confident in who they're going to face and who they're going to win. Now, if it's maybe against a lower tier team like a Rutgers or a Illinois, I could probably see a win. But maybe really anybody outside of that is not really good. If they play Maryland, they're probably going to get smashed, because Maryland has kind of looked good too. You know, it just kind of all boils down to how well the team's prepared and how they're going to do this coming Saturday. So, guys, those are my thoughts, my opinions. I'm coming up here to work. I have to go to Chicago today. I may not return back till Friday, so you might not see really any videos other than when this gets uploaded. Today's Thursday. You're probably going to see this Wednesday. Probably going to see this here on Thursday. So we're just going to go ahead and see how this all boils down. I'll do a Lions video when I get back on, when is it here? Goodness, I think I should be back on Thursday, but if stuff, you know how it goes. If stuff kind of unforeseen circumstances, we're probably going to be back on Friday. But I will do a video on the Lions kind of this weekend, and we'll go through the Michigan and Michigan State games here coming up after the games here on Saturday. But guys, let me know what you guys think of this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like this. Give it a thumbs down if you don't. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you guys hit that bell notification so you guys get more videos just like this one. Guys, and before I leave here, you're going to see probably some more Red Wings and Pistons content. The Red Wings kind of start today with their first preseason game. I think they face the Chicago Blackhawks in the Eastern Conference. So we're going to go ahead and see how those guys do here coming up here on the first season. And I'll probably just do a little bit of a blurb on there. I'm probably going to go off a lot of articles there to try to get myself back into the groove here for hockey and more or less for Pistons here. All right, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope to see you guys again soon. Deuces. Take care, guys.